Eagles Universe, Eagles Galaxy, Eagles Nation, ladies and gentlemen of that said team, our team, Philadelphia Eagles. It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30 p.m. And y'all know what that means. That means it's time for your Eagles Elite podcast. So a lot happenings and non-happenings in the world of Philadelphia Eagles in the past 7 days. So we're going to talk about those things tonight. And also, it's a long off season. Remember this, my fellow Eagles fans. There were going to be people who were going to be salary cap casualties. There are going to be some people that we may have an opportunity once the new league year starts. We get the uppage in the cap for next year, where we may be able to do some things. But remember, first and foremost, our primary goal hasn't always been QB1 get a new contract. So that's got to happen before anything else happens. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this show started. What's going on, Wyatt?
Not too much, man. Feeling a little different this week as opposed to last week. We know we were feeling good and everything. We got a lot to go into here this week during this episode.
Definitely feeling a little more salty than last week for sure.
A little bit.
And also, Diva, what's going on?
What's going on, gang? Can't call it. Off season
Nah.
blues. That's all.
Yeah, a little something, something. But we're gonna go ahead and try to level that right now. We'll get a little something that should give us a little more pep in our steps.
Was spotted. The kick is away. And the kick is... It's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
All right, y'all know how we break this off every week. Ain't nothing changed just cause it's the off season. First, I want to give our first shout out of the night, Philly. Thanks for joining in. And always go Eagles, of course. Always go Eagles.
Absolutely.
All right, so Wyatt, it's time for that breaking news, man. What you got for us?
Is there not too much this week? This isn't official news, but apparently, it's heavily rumored and even like kind of confirmed by BG. From what they're saying, it is going to be a 2-year deal bringing Brandon Graham back. He's definitely not retiring at this point, and looks like he wants to stay with the Eagles, and looked like they were making that happen. I mean, he had a career year last year. It doesn't look like he's going to be getting like the money he was getting. That's why it's like a 2-year. I believe they said it's like 12 mil, so it's like 6 mil per year or something. I'm sure there's some incentives and everything and whatnot in there. As I said, it's not official, but that's really kind of going around, the wire right now. But it's good to have BG back.
For sure, Eagles Divas. We'll start with you. Any thoughts on getting BG back? Reportedly.
No, I mean, he want to be an Eagle. He been an Eagle, so I figured he would come back, even though we got reports that he was interested in joining Jim Schwartz. But he an Eagle for life, so I'm glad he decided to stay. I'm glad we can make that happen.
Yeah, it's one dude that I would hate to see playing somewhere else in another jersey.
Definitely, man. I think it's good. Any pieces from this stellar defense this year that we are able to bring back. Because obviously it's not going to be everybody. We know that. We understand that the salary cap is not going to allow that to happen. But BG's a leader. BG's a guy he's an Eagle lifer, like you said. So the good part about that is maybe bringing him back, gives us a guy that can talk to some people. Hey, man, let's try to run this thing back again, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, it's going to be different. We can talk a little bit about it a little bit later on. It's going to be different, just based on the sheer amount of free agents that we have. But getting him back, maybe we can pull in some more guys, maybe some of the lower end cost-wise free agents that we have on the defensive side of the ball, and at least try to run this thing back a little bit. A lot of unfinished business this past season, so getting at least this guy back helps me feel some positivity, and maybe we can get a few more pieces to slide back in here for another year.
Yeah. The more continuity, the better, especially if you're losing people. And I think the farther away you get from that injury he had is going to kind of help heal that and strengthen that as well. So who knows? He could be even more explosive next year as well. Who knows what kind of role he'll be in either. Maybe they'll increase his reps. I mean, he had that limited role that he did very well with this year. Maybe he'll go back to an increased role depending on what the depth is going into the season.
Yeah, we may not have a choice on that anyway, right?
Yeah.
But I agree with Philly. Philly definitely take him. Excited at least one move is in the works. For the Eagles.
Yeah, the only move that we know of as of right now. It's been real quiet though.
Definitely has been quiet. We heard some talk, of course, that Hurts would get his deal done before the draft. Kind of looked at that and said, it's going to be a little difficult for that to happen. But at the same time, in between time, it's good for the fact that it's probably going to be the new year before it gets done, which is fine. We'll get an idea. They can rework some contracts, try to open up some more cap space, get us to a point where we kind of have a better idea of what we're working with.
Mm-hmm.
So, excited about, that's to come. Now, guys, we didn't get a chance to a couple of weeks ago. Since we have some time today, thought we could talk about the reserves, future contract people and reserves that we signed. There's a couple of names on here that may be familiar with you guys. So I'll just give us the full list of their positions. If there's anybody that stands out to you, we could talk about them. If not, we'll just keep it moving. But I think there's a few to catch your eye. So reserve contract, we have Josh Seals. For future contracts, we'll start here. Offensive tackle Julian Good-Jones. Safety Marquise Blair. Offensive tackle Roger Johnson. Offensive guard Tyrese Robinson. Safety Tristan McCollum. Cornerback Mario Goodrich. Defensive end Taron Jackson. Defensive tackle Marvin Wilson. And here's where we get to a couple of names you might have a little bit of interest in. Kennedy Brooks, running back. Fred Johnson, offensive tackle. Tyree Cleveland, wide receiver. Greg Ward, wide receiver. Jared Williams, offensive tackle. Sua Apedo, offensive guard. Davion Taylor, inside linebacker. Dalton King, tight end. Devin Allen, wide receiver. And Matt Leo, defensive end. So anybody on that list jump out to you guys?
I feel like they're definitely going to be trying to keep Sua Opeta around. He's been okay. He hasn't been great, but it seems like they want to kind of keep some continuity there on the line. Agreed.
Eagles Steve, anybody hop out to you?
Greg Ward, of course.
Reliable.
Yeah, I like Greg Ward a lot. So, I think he should be kept.
Yeah, Kennedy Brooks is interesting too because I totally forgot we had that dude. We haven't seen him at all.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been doing a little research on him. I'm glad you mentioned him. So the problems with Kennedy Brooks is small hands. He needs to work on, and this is according to scout reports and different information has come out. He needs to focus on working on blocking better, being more of a blocker. And understanding, learning schemes more. So it sounds as if he's a project guy. And we know a lot of times with these project guys, sometimes they turn that corner, but a lot of times they don't. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out with him. I'll tell you who
I feel like we don't have a lot of luck with project guys.
Right. I'll tell you, it stands out to me a couple of guys that may actually go from this list to getting some time on the field. So we talk about Davion Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, he's a linebacker. Right now, we look at our linebacker group, and we have Nakobe Dean, Sean Bradley, Hassan Reddick, Jason Patrick, and then like Kyron Johnson, Christian Ellis, guys that don't play a lot. So we could end up in a situation where, we don't have Kaiser White or TJ Edwards. We have to have Nakobe Dean start. I'm not really sold on like a Bradley. I'd rather see Davion Taylor get that opportunity, just because the biggest problems that we've seen with Davion Taylor was obviously health, number one, and then just learning the scheme completely. And, sometimes it takes a guy a year or two to learn the scheme. So I feel like this is a year for him to kind of really show the Eagles, I'm here. Because I feel like he was really good, not this season, but last season when he got an opportunity to play. But then, again, injury cut it short. And then new system, he had to learn this past year, then this year. So I feel like he just needs, a little bit of consistency, a little bit of seasoning. So hopefully he's got that, being on the practice squad, being able to be on the scout team, how to play from that angle. Also, Devin Allen, it's a guy that almost made the team at wide receiver.
Track star.
Wide receivers a pretty solid group for us. Yep, real fast. So if we can convert those hands, we may have a guy, and I'm not saying that he is him, but Tyreek Hill-esque, a guy that you could just throw the ball too deep and just let him go. We chose to keep Britton Kobe on the active roster over him. I questioned that move in my mind almost every week.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
And, Zach Pascal's gone now too. So really on the roster, we have Britton Kobe and then A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Quez Watkins. So definitely think that Devin Allen may have an opportunity to at least make the roster this year. I would like to see a little bit more as far as wide receiver for us, whether it be through the draft, later in the draft, whether it be through free agency. Even bringing Pascal back would work for me too, but just need a little bit more there for depth purposes. In case someone, gets banged up, misses games, it kind of gets tough. You need a little bit more depth. And then Matt Leo, he hasn't done a lot, but he is a defensive end.
Yeah.
And the thing to me for that is him and Taron Jackson. They're both, a little time on the field, not a lot, but a little bit. The thing with both of them, we may need that depth. We may need some guys to step up that haven't played a lot, that haven't done a lot, just because of the attrition that we're going to have this season. So,
yeah, this is going to be an important.
Guys can actually make this roster.
Yeah, it's going to be an important spring going into like training camp and everything. I feel like it's going to be a huge time for evaluation during that in the preseason games. I know a lot of moves should be done by that time, but with who knows how the cap's going to be, who we scoop or not, they may have to rely on a lot of these guys going towards the season.
Yeah. So that's just some of the names that, that kind of stood out to me. So
yeah, we
haven't done this in the completeness on the show yet. So also, let's just go through our actual free agents, like the guys that are free agents on a team. Mm-hmm. So I did mention Zach Pascal. Also, Andre Diller's a free agent. Isaac Simaleu is a free agent. Miles Sanders, of course, is a free agent. Gardner Minshew is a free agent. Boston Scott's a free agent. And that's just on the offense. All right.
Yeah.
So then we talk about the defense. We'll go special teams first. So special teams, Brett Kern, who's
you can get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
And Boston Scott, of course. But we already talked about him at running back. Yeah. I don't even know why we brought back off the special teams coach, but I digress.
I don't understand.
Can't talk about that though.
No,
on defense, so this is crazy.
Yeah.
Fletcher Cox, Ndamukong Suh, Linval Joseph, Javon Hargrave, Robert Quinn, TJ Edwards,
hell out too.
Kaiser White, CJ Gardner Johnson, Marcus Epps, and James Bradbury. So we're looking at more people that are free agents that started last year that didn't. Right. So that's going to be interesting. I think at free safety, we can slide Reed Blankenship right in. Where Marcus
Other
Epps
than that,
was.
we in trouble.
you can let Epps go.
Yeah, I'm good with letting Epps go.
Yeah. Other than that, that's where we're starting to get a little concerned. Maybe White. Maybe we can get Kaiser White back at linebacker. Maybe him and Dean
have to do something.
can man those spots.
Or go out and get
here.
A cheap free agent or something.
I let Edwards go. I think Edwards is going to demand more than we're willing to pay on the market. I think White's a better option for us to keep if we're looking at keeping one of those guys. We'll see, of course, what happens to the draft. But I think we do have Dean that's going to get one of those spots. He should be ready to roll this year. So that could be very beneficial for us. Of course, Jordan Davis is going to hop in, I think, where Fletcher Cox was at. Hopefully he won't have to play where Hargrave was at because Hargrave will be back. Do have Milton Williams sitting there waiting some depth, but boy, it's taking a serious hit. We're gonna if no one comes back just on the defensive line, we're gonna lose 5 guys from our depth. That's a lot to overcome. There's a team that can do it. I believe the Eagles, of course, would be that squad, but
I'm gonna say we're gonna lose 4.
So
Robert Quinn, I don't think was doing much.
Right.
Well, that's fair. I'll say this. This is not a woe is me. This is just a, hey, understand what we got to do. So a lot of people have loved on Howie and talked about how great Howie is and how he's a magic man. Now we're going to see. Now this is the year we're going to see. You got to pay Jalen Hurts. That's going to cost you at least $40 million thanks to Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I'm not concerned with the overall number. I'm concerned with, there's one thing, and I've said this ever since I've ever done the show, ever since I've ever watched sports, understood the salary cap. Guaranteed money. That's what I want to see. That's what's important. Those are the dollars that basically the team has to say, we're putting in an account for this guy because no matter what, we got to pay him this money. That's the dollar amount I want to see. If it's $100 million, if it's $200 million and $100 million guaranteed, cool. If it's $200 million, $123 million guaranteed, okay. $200 million, $180 million guaranteed. Hold on now.
Yeah.
That's eating up more of the cap. So we'll see how that plays out. That's obviously a lot going to depend on Jalen Hurts and what he does. There's another non-Eagles quarterback that kind of looks like he's in limbo right now. Not going to really get into him, but just say this. One of those guys is going to sign before the other. And I think whichever one signs before the other is going to influence the contract the other one gets.
Yeah.
And of course,
I can see I can see Hurts getting done before that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying one of them's going to get done first, and it's going to
I agree.
greatly impact the other.
I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like I said at the beginning of the show, I feel way differently than I did last week. As far as
Let me
free
ask you
agency.
I seen a report that said that if basically we want the same team or semi to the same team, Jalen has to basically not get his deal right now. How do y'all feel about that?
Every year that you wait to pay your franchise quarterback, you're just adding more lube that's needed. That's straight up high coats.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather get it done now because I feel like I don't know. I feel like if he goes out and has another amazing year, it's going to go up even more, especially after some of the other quarterbacks get paid. I would rather get it done now, even though it can backfire. We're getting a deal done ahead of time. We saw what happened with old number 11 back in the day.
But here's the other thing that we could do. We could do a deal now that doesn't start until 2023-2024 season. Right?
Yeah. Doesn't hit next year.
It doesn't hit this year, but the year after that. Because he does still have his rookie deal. What I think would be the best, and I've said this all along, personal opinion, of course, is if we take the year that he has now, absorb that into the future contract, and then give him a little bit more this year, and then start taking that real hit, instead of the 2023 season in the 2024 season. That might appease him. That might be something he's willing to do, or he might want to get his money. The whole thing here is this all depends on what's going on in the mind of Jalen Hurts. I had a conversation with one of my buddies earlier, and I'm going to actually let y'all go first, and then I'll come back and talk about that conversation you thought y'all have on that. It's a great question, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I had someone in mind.
Backup quarterback, but we'll get back to that as well. Go ahead, Wyatt.
Oh, I was going to say I had something in mind as far as like a backup quarterback, which we'll get to eventually.
Do you have any other thoughts on Eagle Divas question? No?
About Jalen Hurts? I mean, I would just rather get it done now than wait. Things could happen. But we saw what happened with Carson Wentz and everything. that's kind of the downside of getting it done early. But I mean, with Jalen, I mean, we saw his mentality and everything. He works hard. He's, the cliche first one in, last one out type thing. I have no doubt in my mind he's going to continue that going forward. So, I mean, getting it done now, I feel like is the best move. I'm not concerned really about his deal. I mean, it's just more concerned about what are we going to do with this defense? Because I don't know what the cap situation is going to be like or what it's going to be looking like after they restructure contracts. But, man, I don't see this defense being as even near what we did this past year. I feel like this offense may be carrying this team going through this season. And then maybe I see a lot of people talking about how he was kind of alluded to it in his presser with Nick Sirianni at the Combine, saying it like, I forget the exact quote, but he kind of alluded to it like, we have a lot to work through this year. So it maybe try to get through this year and then reload the next year because we're not able to this year with all the cap limitations and everything. But it's like, man, I don't want to hear that. Like, you don't want to take a year off in the NFL, especially after going to the Super Bowl. You can't do that.
This is y'all boys. Y'all wanted to come to the cookout, hang out, have a seat, and talk to the fam. This is y'all boy. Which I wanted to do that with. Man.
This is my thing. I want Jalen to get his deal. But I feel like if we give him that deal now, we're going to take that seat because we're going to have to give up these players on the defense, and we're not going to be – the offense might be able to carry us, but your offense can't always carry you. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know how the play calling going to be yet. So I feel like while you got it, while it's hot, go ahead and do it. And then, okay, let's reload the year after that. Let's go win the Super Bowl. I don't care. Win the Super Bowl, and then you go reload after that.
But here's the thing with that, though. I feel what you're saying, but here's the thing with that, though. This is up to Jalen Hurts. And this is what I was referring to earlier. We'd have to look up Philly when the draft is. Don't know that off the top of my head. Right now, my focus is free agency. It's all up to Jalen, right? So I was having a conversation with a friend earlier in regards to Lamar Jackson. So his take was, Lamar Jackson, he needs an agent because if he had an agent, his agent would be telling him blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. Personally, I'm going to tell you exactly what I said to him. Here's the thing I don't think that you're understanding. And this goes for Jalen Hurts as well. This goes for any player. The agent works for the player. Mm-hmm. So if the player wants X amount of dollars, all the agent could do is go and get that player that money or as close to that as possible and then bring it back and say, here's what they're offering. Do you want to do it or not? So either way we go, people want to say that, represent yourself is a bad thing. You need to have, counsels that you trust, that you listen to. You don't listen to your employees. Okay. Understand this. An agent is an employee of the player. The player doesn't work for the agent. The agent and the player aren't on equal ground. The player is the player. The agent is the person that goes out and does the work for the player. So if Hurts wants that deal this year, which every indication I'm hearing is he does, it's a wrap. Once he gets paid, there is no dominant defense anymore. This was a benefit that we had of him being on the rookie contract. Mm-hmm. So unless Hurts says, I don't want my money now, I want to risk another year of my contract, of my NFL career playing on a rookie deal so that we could possibly get back to a Super Bowl. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And if I'm Jalen Hurts, I'll be honest with you, I'm getting paid. Yeah. But like I said, maybe I'll allow you to absorb my last year of my rookie deal into the new contract and kind of do it like A.J. Brown's where it doesn't start until the next year, maybe get a little bit more bonus money. But again, that's up to how he feels. You had an MVP caliber season last year. You're coming up to get paid. If I was him, I would want to get paid.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I want him to get paid, but you also going to be paid and then your team not really do nothing because they got to carry the team. You know what I'm saying?
That's Howie's problem. Howie's supposed to go out and figure it out. That's not Jalen's problem. That's Howie's problem. Jalen's problem is getting his money and being a leader on the team. Howie's problem is how to
Howie can only do what he can do. You know what I'm saying? The cap space is the cap space. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? You can't say, hey, NFL, go raise cap space because the Eagles want to go back to the Super Bowl. I mean, what can he do either? So he in a jam, just like it's a jam. It's just what it is. We got to accept it. It's just a jam, and we got to make it the best way we can. Either we go have Jalen Hurts and take a year off and see if we can get back to that, or We get back to that when we get back to it. That's just what it's gonna be.
But see, that's the thing. Like, why should we have to take a year off?
I mean, because I guess how he's saying that if we pay Jalen, then we just gonna be stuck.
We knew that Jalen was gonna get paid, though. We knew that Jalen was gonna get paid. How we knew he was gonna get paid last year? This didn't just happen. We knew that coming into this offseason, unless he went out there and stunk it up, he was gonna get paid. We see the kind of numbers that quarterbacks are getting now. So my counter is, Howie, you knew this was coming. So if you front loaded trying to get a Super Bowl and then sucking and it didn't work, that's on you too.
Yeah. I mean, that's what hurts the most with the Super Bowl loss is like, that was it. That was the chance. That was your Super Bowl to have. Like, you went all in, you got there, and now it's pretty much, as far as defense, it's imploding in front of you, and you can't do much than sit back and watch it happen. Right. So it's going to be a weird offseason. I don't expect any moves to be made until the draft, at least. Maybe draft night or after the draft. I feel like that this whole amount of time is just going to be them trying to figure out what to do with these deals and try to restructuring different things to free up some money. They got a lot of work to do this offseason. I can't say I'm super confident in it to say just because based off of what we have.
I mean, Jalen Hurts cap number next year is $4,789,486. That man just had an MVP caliber season. He's not playing for that next year. There's no way he's playing for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we have most of the offense, but yeah, that defense is going to look drastically different.
So
it's looking like it.
To answer your question, is CJ really leaving the Eagles? The answer to that question for me is, I'm not saying he's leaving yet, but I do believe he's going ahead and prepare the city. So if he does not come back, you know what I'm saying, he's hitting while it's smart. It's smart of him to say right now, nothing but love for Philly. I appreciate you guys, man. I'd love to be back. I just don't know if it's going to happen. And that's basically, in so many words, what he's saying. He can't go anywhere, number one, until free agency. So depending on, and this is the same thing with the Hurts deal, depending on how much money that they can free up by maybe signing Hurts, maybe signing Fletcher Cox back and spreading some of that money out that we still owe him, because I was looking at the cap numbers actually a little while ago, and Cox's dead money is $15 million. So we can bring him back. Maybe we can take that. We can sign him to like a 3-year deal, right? Give him whatever it'll take to bring him back, and then spread that dead cap money out over, like 3 years or so. So that'll decrease from 15 to hopefully like 5 this year, his dead cap, right? That type of thing. So those are the type of things you do. Dead cap money for Hargrave as well. We're still playing Brandon Brooks, crazily enough. We're still going to be playing James Bradbury. We're still paying Jalen Reagor. Seriously, we're still paying Jalen Reagor dead cap money. So the thing is, if we can work on some of those things, because keep in mind, this is year 3 coming up for Devontae Smith. We control him for 2 more years after that, and he's got to get paid. So it's a never-ending cycle, right? You got to get the people, but you got to be ready when they really do their thing, that they're gonna jump off. Blue City Empire also says, remember CJ got his car stolen during the playoffs. He did. Yeah, he did. I think I would love to have him back. We said last week we thought he was gonna get franchise tagged. We then looked at the numbers and realized there was no way that was gonna happen. Yeah, right. You can't go into the new year over the cap, and that would have put us over the cap dramatically.
I mean, this is really what stands out. This is the hard part of football, as far as like being a GM and everything, especially if you are a successful team trying to stay successful going forward. I mean, you have to make those difficult decisions to let some people go. Granted, not many teams have as many big free agents going into the offseason to handle. But I mean, look at the Bills. I mean, they have was it Jordan Poyer and like a couple other big defensive players. They're piecing out too. They're probably not coming back for the Bills. So, I mean, and there's a couple players on the Chiefs that are most likely out that they're saying they're not going to be able to retain. So it's like, it happens for every team, just not on a scale that it is for the Eagles, unfortunately. But I mean, this is what comes with being a successful team, and you have to pay some of these dudes and to keep them around a lot longer. You have to be able to cut ties with some of these other people. I just don't know. This is a hard situation. We kind of, how he put us in going into this off season. Hopefully we can get it straightened so going from year to year, we have a little bit more consistency and a little bit more wiggle room going from year to year than having to worry about this every year.
So, Eagles Diva, let me ask you a question. So, numbers aside, right? Because we know we'd have to go look at the numbers. How many? Let's say Hurt said, you know what, you don't have to pay me this year, right? So he's still only making like $5 million. I don't think it's gonna happen. Let's just say it does, right? We go out, we get about 20 million, 25 million in cap that we can go out and spend on players. Do you really think we could bring back all those guys that we had last year with 20, 25 million?
No, you're not gonna bring all of them back.
That's what I'm saying.
You need to bring the key ones back, but no, you're not gonna bring all of them. I mean, we know we're not gonna bring all of them back. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Even the key ones, right? CJ GJ is gonna get 15 million easy on the open market. So even if Hurst doesn't take his money, you still got to go pay CJ GJ 15 million. You're not gonna have the money to play Bradbury. That's not gonna happen. I don't see a universe where we got the money to pay Bradbury, right?
No.
Then you still got to look at let's just say CJ takes 15, right? Which is I think on a low end, well, probably about what he would get minimum starting off.
Yeah.
You know, we still got Cox, we got Javon Hargrave that are unrestricted free agents.
Hargrave, you're looking at like 20 million.
One of the linebackers, I would say Kaiser White. Right. So between Hargrave and if we bring back CJ GJ, that would pretty much eat up, 35 million, about 35 million right there.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, we're not built to even be able to bring a lot of those guys back. But I think what you can do is the way in how you structure some of the contracts, right? That's the big thing for some of the guys that we are going to bring in. Because I think Howie's going to go out and get some guys that can help. They're not going to be the caliber of the guys we had last year. And that may not be that bad because we're going to have a different coordinator this year.
Yeah.
We're going to have a different.
May see Anthony Harris back. Anthony Harris may be starting on the roster again or something.
He may be. All jokes aside, he may be. Then you look at guys like, we think about it, we lost the defensive DB coach. He's gone, right?
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird reports coming out about that, like conflicting reports saying that like it was a mutually agreed parting ways, and then there's other ones saying Sirianni fired him when everybody kind of wanted him to keep him. It was weird. Like there's no real true story behind it so far.
I'll say this: you got to do defensive coordinator coming in. He also wanted that job, right? So whether he left on his own or whether, Sirianni got rid of him after having a conversation with him, I think sometimes, and not to say he's not great at what he does, but I think sometimes you have to allow a DC to come in and have his guys. So maybe
bring his own
DC has a guy he wants at DB coach, so he's like, look, I want this guy. This is the guy I want to bring in with me. Even though you have a beloved guy, it is what it is. All right. So Matt Patricia might be joining the Eagles coaching staff. That rumor. Yep. I hear that. He would be coming in as like a linebacker coach. I don't have a problem with Matt Patricia coming in and coaching the linebackers.
Slay gonna
I don't
be
want
pissed.
him coming in and coaching
Yeah,
the defense as a whole. But hey, you're a professional, Slay. He's not your position coach. You're a professional. You know what I'm saying? If that's who the DC wants, man, you got to allow the guy to bring in the guys that he wants to run a defense that he wants to coach the guys the way he wants to coach so we can be successful. That's the thing. I don't like the Patricia rumor or the idea of him being hired, but if that's who the new DC wants, we got to allow him the opportunity to bring in his guys to run a defense the way he needs to run it.
We'll see, man.
I
don't like Matt Patricia at all. That's
I
don't like Matt Patricia, but like I said, if that's who the guy that we hired for DC wants,
I don't know. I don't know. I just don't like the way everything's going right now. It's bad vibes all around. It's bad juju flying all around this organization right now. I don't like it.
But a lot of that
got a bad feeling about it. Not just Matt Patricia, but everything.
But I'm saying, this is why I'm like, all right, Howie, I'll let you come by and pick up a plate, but you can't hang out. When everybody else was like, oh, Howie's the team of the year. Howie's so great. We love Howie. I'm like, hold on, let's see what happens now. This is 1 year. Let's see what happens in the offseason. Let's see what happens moving forward. Howie, You can't get a plate no more.
I'm just not ready for some dark times again, bro. After a Super Bowl,
You can't get a plate no more.
Oh my
it'd be
goodness.
different if we
But
coming
see-
off a win because we were like, oh, we won a Super Bowl. Okay, if something
But see
happens, it
here.
happens. We good. But
We already over here talking about how season's over. We worried. Why we worried yet? We ain't seen what's gonna happen yet, right? Let's see what's gonna
I'm
happen
worried
first.
because we know that
Now-
cap space.
If we come into the draft and after the draft, right? And we still ain't got no starters, and we still looking the same way we look right now. I think that's the time to worry a little bit.
maybe a little bit.
Bro,
I
you
think
know
we're gonna
how
be seeing
you
a
know
lot
how
of-
he is with that draft though, man. Man,
Yeah.
listen.
I feel like
y'all.
we're gonna be making some moves during the draft, whether it's for players or just getting other picks. We're gonna be making some moves.
What we need to be doing is trying to trade some of them picks for next year to get up first next year. That's what we need to be doing. Not our first round picks. We need both of those. So
Yeah,
once we get into the second round, maybe a second, fourth this year, get the first next year, something like that. Because we do need an influx of talent. Because if we being 100% honest, how many more years do we know that Slay has?
not.
Not
I mean, they
many.
talk about extending them, but not many.
Slaving around for a long time.
He has.
Very long time.
Yeah,
Megatron days. If y'all kids know what Megatron is. So long ago.
Right.
hmm I don't know, man.
Right.
It's
So, I mean, you're going to need to get a corner this year. Personally, in 10th, I'm going corner.
we're gonna be drafting defense for the next couple years.
Yes, we are. At 10th, I'm going corner. For me,
No, we're probably not gonna bring Miles back.
hold on. I want to address this, right? This is one of the things I want to talk about, so I'm glad you brought it up, Blue City. All right, so check this. Replacing Miles Sanders. We're not going to replace Miles Sanders. What we're going to do is we're going to have Kenneth Gainwell. We're probably going to bring back Boston Scott on deal for a couple of mil like we did this past year. And then we're going to go and draft a running back in the first and second round. And that guy's going to compete with Gainwell to be the starter. I hope we draft the guy from Alabama. I'd love to get him at the end of the first round. Miles Sanders knows he's not going to be an Eagle. Let's be real. That's why he's crying, running around talking about how he this, how he that. You know we don't have the money to sign you. You want to take $5 million to come back? Let's
You
go.
know what you have to do to come back. If you want to come back that bad, man.
If you want to
know
come
what
back,
to
you're
do.
going to have to take that super hometown discount. It's up to you.
Yeah.
But you know what it is. You know it's not going to be no whole bunch of money out there for you, so you know what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
I don't expect guys, you know what I'm saying, that aren't really like career guys. Like I'm looking at a guy like Fletcher Cox saying, bro, come on back here and look out for the homies. Get you another year and look out for the homies. Javon Hargrave, let's make something happen. CJ GJ, let's make something happen, right? Love to bring Kaiser back. That's where the list stops for me. I know we're not getting Epps back because he's gonna Epps or Edwards are both going to get more in the market than we are able to pay. Bradbury is definitely going to get more in the market than we are able to pay. You could argue that he was a better cornerback than Slay for the entire season. I mean, they were very close, but I'm saying you can make the argument he was a better corner.
Yeah,
He's
he was.
not going to come back for less money. You know what I'm saying? Like
You already
there's going to
said
be a
that.
lot of guys that are not coming, right? You know, CJ GJ don't have no loyalty to us. He was here 1 year.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to break him off if you want to bring him in, right? He said he learned a lot in Philadelphia. He has a lot of love for Philadelphia, but he looking at that paycheck. You know, I'm not mad at him, but he's looking at that paycheck. So I think best case scenario, we can get Cox, Hargrave, White, and CJ GJ from the defense. I think that's the best case scenario we have.
I mean, I'd be fine with that. I'm fine with that.
And it's
Yeah,
like
but
you
that's
said
the
on
best
Twitter,
case.
you're not just paying him to play safety. This dude, he can move
No.
around all around your defense. So he wants a little extra in that bag too.
I mean, I feel him though. Like the dude had the top interceptions in the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
Sorry, that big check.
And
bro.
that's-
You
I
gotta
feel like
give
that's
your
a-
ass credit for that.
That's why if you can, I feel like you have to, because with some of the injuries you may have in the secondary or whatever, you can move CJ GJ around to kind of fill in those holes if you have to. But I mean, if it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards. But I don't know. I feel like Howie's going to keep telling him like, hey, you go out and look at your options or whatever, but just remember, I'm going to try to work out something for you here. Keep a line open.
Better.
So Blue City Empire Sports. Since you brought it up, I'm going to take a precious moment of our time and say this. You just paid Daniel Jones $40 million a year, sir.
They
Where's the
said
cap
Saquon
space?
was coming back.
Where's this
Yeah, and
cap space?
franchise Saquon.
Right. And you franchise Saquon. So how are you going to go out and try to bring in Miles Sanders? So Saquon can say he's not coming back, but he has an exclusive franchise tag. So he either plays for the Giants or he don't play next year. So that's up to him. But he's coming back.
Yeah, but you're not going to get Miles Sanders.
Heck up. I mean, they can get Miles Sanders. He's just not doing much else on your squad if you're doing that. You're not getting any receivers or defensive players or anything like that. I don't know what your squad looks like. I don't pay attention to the Giants.
I would not be surprised if
I mean, they're
all that money.
They paying 2 running backs like $15 million right now. So
They claim they was getting rid of Zeke. So
here's the secret to all that though. Here's what you got to realize, Blue City. Look at the Cowboys. They don't ever bring in, or as we affectionately refer to them, let me get this right. The Arlington football team. When we talk about that team, there's one thing you got to remember about the Arlington football team. You know what that is? Point blank, they don't sign these guys from outside the organization. Jerry Jones has this affection for his guys. It's very rarely that they bring in big time guys from the outside, right? Very rarely. And this is going to be one of those situations where they're not going to do it. They're not going to pay CJGJ.
He's going to go to a non-contender, if anything. He's going to go to someone that doesn't mind breaking the bank for him.
Right.
It all depends, right? If that's what his goal is just to get paid, then yeah. But if he understands, hey, let me go ahead and do what I need to do. Let me go ahead, take this contract with the Eagles, maybe a 1 or 2 year deal, maybe not a long-term deal. See what we can do in the next couple of years, or maybe takes a long-term deal, right? It all depends on what he wants. Again, the biggest thing that I've came to understand with these players, and this is for everybody that watches this, every team, whether the Eagles or somebody else, there has to be a person in the organization that has control, that feels like the player is worth the money the player wants. Now, if the player says, you know what, because it's this team, because I was just with them, because I feel like they have a chance to win, if they have a guy like me or whatever, they may take a little less to come. I.e., real talk, A.J. Brown. He could have got a little bit more money, right? He took a deal that was good for him, but still allowed the team to do other things because he knows that there's going to come a time during his contract, this new one that starts next year, where Devontae Smith is going to have to be paid, right? He's going into year 3. So after this year, 2 more years, 5th-year option, of course, if one of those years, you have to break him off. He keeps playing like he's been playing, you have to break him off.
Yeah.
So everything is 2-tiered. What can we get now while the value is good? But we also have guys we know we have to pay coming up. And they got to get paid, you know? So this is where we see if how we're going to be able to come back to the cookout next year and pick up his plate. Because he can't stay.
Yeah. I mean,
Right
players
now-
got to pick and choose what they want, though. Because it's like what Bradbury is saying on Super Bowl week is like he wants this all season. He's looking to get paid, but he wants to play for a contender. It's like those things aren't mutually exclusive. You're not going to be able to get paid on a contending team unless they don't have much. But I mean, most contending teams, they already have their money spread out. You're not going to go out and get $20 million from a contender
Because they paid their quarterback.
Yeah,
Well, if you pay
most
the
likely.
quarterback,
Yeah, exactly.
That's the problem, right? And that's what it is, and that's why I say like it's tough. I agree
Exactly,
with you here,
yeah.
Blue City Empire Sports. You can't,
Can't
have
have cake and eat too.
eat it too. Everybody wants to have it,
Exactly.
and you also want to eat it. You can't do it both ways.
Mhm.
You know, and that's just simply what it is. I will say this. I know we got a couple more that we want to go into our top 10 at least get through the show this week. This is great, conversation on how we're feeling about the cap and everything. And it's good because, gives us a chance to kind of get it out, right? 'Cause you're sitting there all week, you're stewing. Tuesday comes, and I'm sitting there like, no franchise tag.
After we saw all reports about that, what? Yeah, like what?
I'm like, what the? But,
Yeah.
Exactly why. Exactly.
What's going on? Refreshing
doing
Twitter
good.
like every couple minutes. Like, where's it at? Where's the
Is
news?
this true?
And then I
Like,
see the CJGJ post. I'm like, well, no, this is the opposite of what's supposed to
where
be.
you going? Where you going? Hey, brother, where you going?
Crazy, y'all. This is going to be a very interesting offseason and draft, though, because getting parts to fill in for some parts you're not going to get, or just seeing what you could do to replace the pieces. Then the new defensive coordinator, that's a big thing. New offensive coordinator, that's a big thing, right? Even though the offensive coordinator should keep some level of consistency since he's from the staff, we don't know 100% though. We don't know 100% until we get into the season and we see what he does. Got to be better than Steichen in some situations, but it could be worse than Steichen in some things as well. So, we're going to continue this offseason to just discuss the team, what's happening, how we feel about it. That's going to continue, right? That's what you do in the offseason, right? This is our time.
I feel Blue City. Put that comment up. I feel that for real. It would be all right. We don't have to worry about that thing.
Nah, because then you have the Cowboys in the 90s. They're just paying everybody everything so they can just win a Super Bowls. Nah, I'm good on that.
We
need to have some order in this place.
Now, if you wanted to do like the NFL and have the escalating luxury tax, that may be a plausible option because it penalizes you if you're a habitual line stepper. So it doesn't say like you can just continue to go up and go up and go up. It says once you hit that, that ceiling should be, you start paying that luxury tax. And so you're paying, and every year it doubles. So if you hit the luxury tax 3 years in a row, you're habitual line stepper. You pay for it. You know what I'm saying? So that's that. But yeah, guys, I know for time purposes, it will give us time to at least talk about our top 10 running backs of all time for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
All right. So Eagles Deep, I know you were not here last week, but we kind of did each pick when we just gave who we won. If you want to talk a little bit about why, So we'll go ahead and kind of swing it like last week. Eagles Diva, would you like to go first, or you want us to start?
Y'all go ahead. Y'all got it.
All right. So, White.
You want me to go first? Ryan Matthews. No, I'm just joking. Not Ryan Matthews. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. That's a name you haven't heard in a while, I bet, though.
Yeah.
It disappeared off the face of the earth.
I really want to hear
it. Number 10, I have LeGarrette Blount. He was only here for 1 year, but this dude was exactly what we needed in that year. He was the bowling ball with legs, or bowling ball with feet, as what said it. But he was exactly what we needed. He did exactly what we needed of him that whole year. Busted through the lines, getting touchdowns. He had a great Super Bowl. Statistically, because he was only here 1 year, wasn't anything huge. But, man, he had a huge impact on that whole season and the Philadelphia Eagles as a whole. I mean, he was not just a great player out on the field, but in the locker room as well. He was a leader.
That's actually who I have at number 10, too. I completely agree. Matter of fact.
Hey,
big plays, big blows. We don't win the Super Bowl without that running, and we missed that this year.
I wish we. Yeah, that's one dude I wish we could have brought back longer.
Or I can't remember his name now. A big guy we had 2 years ago, the season before last.
Jordan Howard.
It would have been nice to have him. Even Jordan Howard would have been what we needed.
He didn't play for anybody this year. I don't think. I don't know where he went, man.
We could have used him.
He looked good.
Certain I got times. Number 10 is Ajayi Ajayi.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I could rock with that too.
Yeah, either one.
I'm sure it's the same reason, same year.
I was ecstatic about that signing at the time, and then he came in and made an immediate impact. Like in that Broncos game, he had he had that huge run, and they were making fun of him because he couldn't run fast enough because he didn't get to the end.
All right, so I guess there we go. So we got 2 Blunts, 1 Jay Ajayi, but guess what? We know the reasons why they both that same team, our championship team. And, they both were a big part of what we did. All right. So, Diva, why don't you start off with this one? Who you got number 9?
Number 9, I would have to go with. I bet y'all kids don't know this. This is old. Timmy Brown. Oh, that dude. Okay. 1967. Pretty good back then.
Okay.
Watch him over him.
Okay.
I have number 9. I have another old school one here. keeping in the trend. Tom Sullivan from 72 to 77.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Actually, we're gonna be 3 for 3 on the old school because I have Swede Hansen
Okay.
from the original franchise back in 1933.
Damn, you went way back.
Yes, I went back to leather helmets and rudimentary formations.
Yes.
No contracts, no beer vendors, none of that.
None of that.
And so this is one bit of information I did grab on him in 1934, which is probably his best season. He led the NFL with 140 rushing attempts and gained 805 yards and scored 7 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And he never fumbled the ball
See, that's what we need
in his
now.
whole career.
That's what
Whole
we need
career?
now.
He never fumbled the ball once.
Damn.
That's what we need now. That's some old school players. You know, they held on to the ball.
Straight up.
Yes.
There we go. All right, so I'll start at number 8 since we kind of taking turns here. And I have Keith Byers.
Dang it, that was mine. That was mine too.
That was not mine. That was
Hey,
not
there
mine.
we go. I mean, there I go sometimes. 7 seasons in Philly, 5 of which he had more receiving yards than running. He had 1,220 yards from scrimmage and 10 touchdowns in 1988. He gave 819 receiving yards in 1990. He would kind of be a little bit of everywhere. You could put him at fullback. You could put him at tight end, which he did do in 1992. He left and went to Miami. Not mad at him for that. But yeah, just
But man,
great
he helped
guy,
run
man.
out. Like,
Yes, he did.
whew.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And see, because I know you had him too, I didn't say everything to give you some things that you could talk about Keith Myers too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, good though. But yeah, he was the protector for Randall Cunningham. Like,
Yeah.
ran that ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
Mine's
ahead,
going to be a
Wes.
little controversial because I included a newer player that maybe y'all don't have on your list. I put Miles Sanders at my number 8, mainly because this dude, number 8 in our franchise rushing record. I mean, I just love this dude as a player. He's been one of my favorite players the past couple years. And to have him only these couple of years and him being up as high as he is on the rushing list, you know, it says something about his ability. I wish that we would have really took advantage of him as this past couple seasons like we did this year, where he really broke out and was able to be himself. If he was able to do that the past couple seasons, he'd probably be higher on this list. But I mean, I love him as a player. He has great route running ability when he's not second guessing himself. He showed a lot of, you know, greatness this year. But he had a lot of breakout plays, and a lot of them were kind of stopped early, either getting tripped up off the field or just getting grabbed by the ankle. But I feel like he had a lot of big time plays that could have even been bigger if it weren't, you know, for a couple miscues. But I know it's probably not on your guys' list, but Miles Sanders has been one of my favorite players. That's why I have him in there.
No, Miles is on there. I had LaShawn McCoy and then Miles. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we'll go to a couple of comments here before we keep going here. So Rod sends us this is what you call a delusional Patriots fan. Patriots are going to blow out the Eagles next season.
Bro, they don't even know who their QB is.
No, though.
Are they going to have an offensive coordinator this year? What are we talking about here?
Probably not.
So Blue City Empire says
Ooh.
2004, 2017, or 2022 Eagles. Which team you take? There's only one answer for me.
2022.
There's only one
Oh,
answer
I
for
see.
me. It's 2017 because they
Yeah.
did the
Oh,
job. They
really?
finished the job.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you say that. I mean, as far if you put both them together facing each other, I don't know. I feel like I go them 22 Eagles over the 17. If they're facing each other.
2017 defense. Whoa.
2017 ran the ball. And they won.
I don't trust that 17 defense against our offense in 22.
The 2017 was better than every team in the NFL. The 2022 team was not.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with 2017.
All right.
Because
I'm still sticking with 22.
2017 is the reason we got this.
Yeah.
Without 2017, we still getting the same old crap from all these other funny fan bases. So Blue City asks if there's the guitar playing. Blue City, All I can tell you, bro, is I don't know what you got going on, but you
Oh,
hearing
it's
something we ain't.
acoustic.
Yeah, he's talking about.
Oh, he's talking about your guitar in the background. Okay,
Yeah, it's
gotcha.
acoustic.
I thought he was saying he was hearing.
Nah.
I was like, bruh.
It's acoustic.
Yes, acoustic. You can tell.
He also asked who was the original owner of the Eagles. I'd have to find out who the original owner was, bro, because that was a long time
That was
ago.
before my
Real
time.
long time ago.
Way
So
before
we had to
us.
look that up. Way back in 1934. 33, 34, by the way. But all right, so
Number
back to
7.
our list. Number 7. All right, Wyatt, I think you first this time.
I got Ricky Waters. A lot of people, kind of point one game out when you're talking about Ricky Waters, and that's the for who, for what game, where famously probably one of the most infamous, terrible games of all time. Like
Alligator
fumbling
arm.
all over the place. Alligator arming, trying to catch ball passes. I mean, Randall was trying to get him blown up across the field a couple times. So that was the whole for who, for what comment. But overall, I mean, I think he had a great career when he was in Philly for us. I think he had over 1,000 yards each season.
He did.
Made a couple of Pro Bowls. I think he led like yards per carry over one of those years. He was a great running back, but unfortunately, it's overshadowed by that horrendous game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles Diva, who you had?
Corral Buckhalter. Y'all know about that? Yeah, boy, Corral Buckhalter. Yeah, it's that old school team. Yeah.
So I also had Ricky Waters at number 7.
Okay.
He did have 1,000 yards every season. He was an Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
In '96, he led the league in rushing attempts with 353, total touches 404, and he had 1,855 yards from scrimmage, which also led the league. Yards per game 79. So he did a lot, in my opinion, the small amount of time he was here. And Ricky Warren Waters was my first Eagles jersey.
Oh, for real? That's dope.
The white one. Yes, sir. All right. So for number 6, I'll go. And I have the aforementioned Timmy Brown.
So did I. I had Timmy Brown at 6.
Yep. He scored 2 touchdowns, 18 touches on the Packers World Championship team. Came to us after 2 years there. He did kick and punt returns. He also had a bunch of all-purpose yards, over 2,000. He had 2,306 and 62. Came back next year in 63 and had 2,428. Both of those were career highs. He ran for 841 yards, caught 487, and had over 1,000 return yards. And keep in mind, these were short seasons. These weren't 12-game seasons back in the 12, 16-game seasons back then. This was like 12 games, back in the 60s. These were short. Very tough dude. He had 3 Pro Bowls. Last one in 65. Started to drop off a little bit, got injured, but a lot of wear and tear on your body. And left for Baltimore. But his time in Philly, man, what he was able to do, combined yards, running, catching, and special teams, I had to throw him in at 6 on my list.
Okay.
Number 6, I got Wilbert Montgomery. He was in there with Ron Jaworski. He had 1,000 yards 3 times, and he was a Pro Bowler.
6. It's a little low for Wilbur. What about you, Wyatt?
Oh, I said I had Timmy Brown.
Oh, you had Timmy too. That's right. You did say that.
I had Timmy too.
All right, Wyatt, who you got at 5?
Number 5, I got our old boy Deuce Staley up there. Deuce, he was a menace back in the day. And just going back and watching some film and some pictures, you don't realize how big this dude was. This dude was huge back there. We need another Deuce Staley in our backfield, man. Like, you gotta have it. But he wasn't just rushing the ball like that. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit as far as like a pass catcher too, because he was doing that as well. But man, he was such a great player for this organization, and he went on to continue as far as a coach in this organization and being involved. It just sucks that it kind of ended the way it did. I feel like he kind of, like a lot of others, he probably should have got promoted or of some sort throughout the organization. Hate the way that it ended, but man, as a player, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better running back, man, with Deuce Staley.
I actually had him as well. Of course, he came in as a rookie in '97. He replaced my boy Running Waters. He was 5'11", 242 pounds out of college. That's a big guy. The 4 seasons that he played, 13 or more games that he wasn't injured and missed games. Every one of those he had over 12,000 yards from, or 1,200, yards from scrimmage.
12,000. Hold on.
3 of those seasons he went over 1,000 rushing yards as well. And think about this. This was with Donovan McNabb in that West Coast office, right? And then the last game at the Vet was Deuce's last game with the Eagles. And if you got a chance to go to the Veteran Stadium, you know that place was pumping.
And then he went across town. He went and played for Pittsburgh. He went across the way.
I tried to think about that. Who you got, Eagles Diva?
I had LaShawn McCoy at number 5, and Deuce Staley was above that. That was one of my favorite running backs.
Shaw Shady.
All right, so you got Deuce at number 5. At number 4, you said? Okay. All right, Wyatt, who you got at number 4?
4 has already been talked about. I had Wilbert Montgomery up there at number 4. We already talked about him a little bit. Played from 77 to 84.
So at number 4, I've got Bryant Westbrook.
Okay.
From Villanova. It took a lot of stones to draft Bryant Westbrook. This dude took over as lead back for Deuce when he left. He was over 200 pounds, but he's obviously lighter than Deuce. He wasn't like a power rusher, but very shifty, did a lot for the team, a lot running and catching. In 2007, he led the league with 2,104 yards from scrimmage, and a part of that was 1,333 rushing yards. So he was a guy that you could put anywhere on the field, catch the ball, run the ball. The time he played with the Eagles, he had nearly 1,900 touches, rushes, and receptions. He only fumbled 12 times in his entire career. But never played a full season.
Crazy.
Never played a full season in his 8 years in Philly. But and he had over 10,275 yards from scrimmage, which is still the most in franchise history.
Yep.
So shout out to Westbrook, man. Shout out to Westbrook. Eagles deep. Let's see. Oh, well, that's everybody, right? All right.
I had him in my number 3, Brian Westbrook.
So perfect.
Yep. And what's crazy, like to add on to what you were saying, he had 6 straight seasons over 1,200 all-purpose yards or yards from scrimmage, which is nuts. 6 straight. And like you said, with him never finishing a season, that's wild.
All right, Diva, who you had at 3?
I had Brian Westbrook at 3. Remember, I had Deuce Staley at 4, so Brian Westbrook was my number 3.
Brian Westbrook.
Okay.
Matched up with that one. Number 2.
So I got
number 3, I got Wilbert Montgomery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I got him at 3. I think he did a lot for the team back in the day. And he was getting the first season, it was 16 games. He got 1,512 rushing yards. Led the league with 2,006 yards from scrimmage. This was back in 79, right? Made the Pro Bowl in 78 and 79. Drafted in 77. So in 1980, he missed some games, came back. He was a big part of all the games that year that took us to the Super Bowl that we did not win. He did fumble a lot. He had 42 fumbles, but he had over 1,700 touches and 57 touchdowns. So the only knock for me on Wilbert Montgomery, and this is something that, it is what it is, was he did fumble a lot, but he was definitely a guy that I had a lot of love for. And I think it was very important to the Eagles and that teams that Dick Vermeil had.
Yeah. And he was also with the team for like 7 years, which is crazy for a running back. Like you don't ever see a running back with a team for like 7 years.
Especially back in the day.
Yeah, especially back in the day.
All right, so number 2, Diva, who you got?
D. Sproles.
Oh, Sproles Royce.
Okay.
I had LaShawn McCoy, old Shady at number 2 there.
I had Shady at number 2 as well, Shady self.
And old number 1, do we all match number 1?
Van Buren.
Yeah, I got Steve Van Buren.
That's what I got too.
Well, we
That's
matched.
crazy.
12 game seasons, over 1,000 yards twice. Led the league in yards from scrimmage and total touchdowns twice.
Yeah. And that was a run first league, and you getting over 1,000 yards in 12 game season damn near every time. Dude's a beast. Like, how you doing that?
That dude was the only one that scored points in a snow game. Then turned around the next year and had 196 yards in a torrential downpour. He was 6 foot 200 pounds back in the day. You understand what I'm saying?
It's crazy to see how some of these players were built back in the day and stuff.
Dude, a 6 foot 200 pound running back is a monster today.
It's like we
That's
talked
crazy.
about last week with wide receivers, with Harold Carmichael, like how huge and tall and lanky he was, man.
That is crazy.
Even like Cunningham too. Cunningham as a QB, I feel like he was so like tall and lanky.
Oh, you know that QB list is coming soon. Maybe not next
I know.
week, but it's coming. So, appreciate you guys both, spending some of your time with me here on the Eagles League podcast tonight. We'll appreciate everybody in the comments, everybody's watching. And I also appreciate everybody that checks out this replay, because we're going to be putting this out in the group so everybody can see. Just a little reminder in case you forgot to come watch your peoples. But as always, we got to end with 2 things. So any final thoughts?
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean, Howie got some work to do. I mean, time will tell, but now we just kind of waiting and see what happens as of right now.
All right, Philly, birthday next week. Okay. We with it. Eagles, Diva, any final thoughts?
No. Just wait on Howie. That's it.
Yep. Time's a ticking.
Yeah.
Jalen and Howie.
Yeah, Jalen too.
What y'all gonna do? Are we gonna slide him a little bit more money this year? Go ahead and give him more. What we gonna do? Whatever we're gonna do, let's do it. Once this new year starts, so what is it, June 1st? So we got a little bit of time that we gotta wait.
Yeah.
You can do the contract, just can't sign it till then. So let's get working on something.
I'm sure they are. It's just a matter of figuring everything else out too to make that contract fit.
Howie. I said it earlier. The only other thing I have to say, we need Hargrave. We need CJGJ. You got to find out a way. If we got to lie, cheat, and steal, you got to find out a way. They got to be back. I'd bring Koch back if he wants one more run. Maybe we can stretch out that dead bunny over about 4-5 years. You know what I'm saying? Lower that. Help out the squad a little bit as well. I love to have White back. I like what he did. He wasn't great, but he was just steady and consistent when he played. He didn't make a lot of big plays, but he didn't get burned a lot either. Right? So I feel like you need that. You put Nakobe Dean out there with that. And we already know what's going to happen with the other guy out there by the name of Hassan Reddick. We already know what that is. So let's just hope, y'all, all the Eagles fans, let's just hope that how we can get his invite back to pick up his plate at the cookout.
Y'all have a good one. Go out, y'all.
And by the way, next week, another top 10 list. The peoples will be back. We gonna make it work. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Hashtag be elite.
Be elite. Y'all know how we got to end it. Catch us next week. Same bat channel, same bat time. Bring a friend. Tell that friend to bring a friend. Let's get it.
The kick is away, and the kick it's gone! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin!